Look around any crowded space, and you'll see people carrying a heavy gray weight. Our daily routines are packed with complex relationships, mounting social pressures, and past choices, what some might call karmic debts, that follow us everywhere we go. Confronting these pressures directly requires immense energy. Sorting through relationship conflicts or facing the consequences of our own mistakes is psychologically exhausting. It forces us to sit with our own discomfort, sometimes for years, without a guaranteed resolution. Because sitting with that pain is so difficult, human nature looks for an exit. That inherent discomfort creates a desperate, highly fertile market for any product, philosophy, or habit that promises an immediate emotional shortcut. Enter what we can call the pink sparkle solution. This is an artificial coping mechanism, a metaphorical glitter that people use to instantly erase gloom and replace it with a forced cheerfulness. Whenever they feel unhappy, they simply apply a distraction to manufacture good feelings. This diagram shows exactly how this emotional crutch operates. Instead of processing a negative reality input, the user constructs a fantasy illusion bubble. The bubble intercepts that signal and blocks it, forcing the user to blindly affirm whatever they desire. The system produces a happy output, independent of the outside world. But look closely at the input side. As the bubble thickens, the user's observation diminishes. The happiness is forced, working only as long as they blindly believe everything is wonderful. So we have to ask, is this forced positivity a genuine fix for life's problems, or is it a dangerous trap? A manufactured emotional state offers momentary relief, but it leaves the underlying issues untouched. It lacks the specific yellow clarity of discernment, the ability to distinguish between an ego-driven fantasy and the actual mission of the soul. Without that analytical filter, you are simply masking the symptoms. Maintaining this artificial emotional baseline requires a massive, ongoing expenditure of energy. The user has to actively suppress reality, which takes a severe physical and psychological toll over time. When the coping tool is removed, even briefly, the withdrawal is immediate. A person stripped of their illusion will experience trembling hands, a racing heart, and severe panic. They quickly discover that without their distraction, they are utterly miserable. This chart shows the clinical progression of that emotional tolerance. As the user digs deeper into their unconscious mind to hide from reality, larger quantities of the distraction are required to achieve the exact same effect. They have to keep doubling the dose just to feel normal, leaving the actual emotional baseline completely stagnant. The user is now trapped. They are caught in an escalating cycle of avoidance, addiction, and anxiety, requiring an ever larger sack of emotional sparkles to keep the panic at bay. To protect this fragile state, the user must build an echo chamber. They recruit friends into their protective dome, but this isn't just a social circle. It's a refusal to apply the blue force of self-discipline required to face an objective truth that might hurt their friends' feelings. When members of these bonded groups lock into a cooperative unreality, they aren't forming a community. They are building a united defensive mechanism, labeling anyone outside their pack as an enemy simply to keep reality at a safe distance. But the outside world does not respect the protective dome. Eventually, the external forces of objective reality, a kind of metaphorical brown dust, arrive to cloud the group's interactive fantasy and expose their mutual false beliefs. Fleeing from personal problems does not freeze them in time. While the user is hiding inside their fairy tale lifestyle, their past debts and unresolved issues accumulate and grow larger in the background, waiting to catch up with them when the user finally gets tired of running. Maintaining a fairy tale lifestyle creates deep spiritual vulnerabilities. Without the blue force of self-discipline to protect the soul's energy, individuals become easy targets for those who seek to distract, drain, and eventually destroy them. Reality is an immutable force. No amount of group delusion or forced positivity can permanently delay the return of negative karma or the consequences of ignored problems. The clash is inevitable. A person can rely on benevolent sponsors or temporary bursts of borrowed energy to bear their burden for a while, but that forced generosity eventually runs out, and when it does, the illusion bubble shatters. Stripped of their artificial joy, the individual is left completely exposed. They are weak, panicked, and suddenly very vulnerable, and entirely unequipped to navigate the complexities of daily life because they spent all their energy avoiding it rather than practicing how to handle it. Consistently retreating into a world of make-believe systematically erodes the internal capacity for genuine resilience. True resilience requires a specific equilibrium of three distinct forces: wisdom, power, and love. Relying on blind affection alone, without the structure of the other two, creates an unstable and delusional state. This diagram illustrates the necessary framework. The first point is yellow wisdom. This provides the discernment we identified earlier, the ability to fact-check one's own thoughts and distinguish actual reality from the selfish desires of the human ego. The second point is blue power. This is the self-discipline and willpower required to protect your energy and endure the hardship necessary to complete your mission. When these two balance the pink point of compassion, the soul is finally grounded. Artificial coping tools are just interest-bearing loans taken out against your own future suffering. To stop running and solve the problems of life, true happiness must be earned through self-mastery, discipline, and confronting reality on its own terms.